What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
You speak it into existence sometimes, and it just happens. The New Orleans Saints have fired head coach Dennis Allen. Adam Schefter, official whenever that happens. We checked 17 times. The blue check mark and the followers and the real account. Dennis Allen is out in New Orleans. Holla at your boy. We'll see ya. And I am never, ever in the fire coach hot seat conversation. It is not my favorite thing to do. But my God, this one time with this one person, I was all about it. We know this man was 18-25, an overall record of 26-53. He's 2-7 this year, losing 7 straight games, and he just lost to the Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young as their quarterback. It had to happen. You could not sit there and have more of the same. You have grown men, professionals in that locker room that were fed up, that were tired, that needed something new. The message didn't hit, it never hit, and now you can move on. Now, there's still aspects of this franchise that you need to have the same attitude towards. There's a lot of things that you need to move on from. But this is a step in the right direction. This is the first domino that had to fall. The message, whatever message he was sending, was falling on deaf ears. Like there was no one in that locker room respected that man. It was gone. It was over. All he did was throw you under the bus. And then you didn't have, like if a coach throws you under the bus, but you're winning, like if Bill Belichick does that in New England, like, hell, Bill did it again. But you know what? We're going to win Sunday. You weren't going to win on Sunday. You, over the last 7-8 weeks, have been the worst team in the NFL. And you can't argue that anymore because you just lost to Carolina. You were the worst team in the NFL. Your roster has deficiencies, sure. It's had injuries. It's not a roster that should have ever been in that place. This had to happen. I'm glad that this is the first step in the right direction. Again, I hate dancing on someone's grave. I do. But Dennis Allen did this to himself. He did himself no favors as well. So, as we've talked about all show long, you're wondering, would it happen? Would they actually make the move? Ross Jackson, he laid it out. We're talking about, hey, next 10 hours, like, there might be something happening here. Like you might need to pay attention. He was spot on. And we saw other coaches in the NFL, be it head coach or coordinators, be let go because there's a standard in the NFL. It is a business. Okay? You can be mediocre in college football. You can be bad. Hey, we got to give him his recruiting. There's none of that recruiting class talk in the NFL. You got to go show me actual results. Right? We look at the results here. Like we actually look at what's happening on the field. We don't look beyond them here. It's the NFL. You don't get a chance to figure it out. Right? It will figure you out. It has figured Dennis Allen out. He's one of the losingest coaches in NFL history. And now, thankfully, the New Orleans Saints have moved on from Dennis Allen. Tete Alondra, it happened. We didn't know if it would, but it finally happened.
Yeah, that's. I just put up that tweet from Nick Underhill. Here it is right here. He says, Nick just mentioned Gail Benson began meeting with players late last week to get a feel for what was wrong with the Saints. And she said at the end, the organization decided to act as to what they thought was the main problem. So you were talking about him not having respect in that locker room, losing the players on this team. According to Nick, it looks like that's exactly what happened with Gail Benson meeting with these players and then ultimately deciding to do that. 2 things I'm going to be watching. Who's going to be taking over in the interim, and is Dennis Allen the only casualty here this week? Those are kind of the 2 main things I'm watching. I mean, look, people have been critical of Mickey Loomis. I get it. We were talking about the just lack of creativity in the in the offense as well. Now it's Kubiak's first year. He's a young guy. We'll see what they do there. But it'll be interesting to see if there's more dominoes that fall.
Adam Schefter also tweeting out, with New Orleans firing Dennis Allen, questions remain about what the Saints will do before the 4 p.m. Eastern Time trade deadline. As the team holds a 2-7 record, Marshawn Lattimore is among the players teams have inquired about. That's what I'm saying. Like, this team right now, this wasn't the only move, coaching, players, front office personnel, that needs to be made, but it was the biggest one. It was the one that will get everything going in the right direction. Now, you can certainly go in the wrong direction. It's like that fork in the road. Like, this was the one that maybe gets you back on track as a franchise. You can hit a little bit of a soft reset and you get a great draft choice. Now, if you hold on to some of these things that have no value, then you're just going to hire the next guy and it's going to be more of the same. A key moment right now for the New Orleans Saints and their franchise. Again, you have been incredibly blessed over the last couple of decades to not have to be in this situation, but you are here now. And now here is a moment that is going to shape the next decade for your franchise, okay? You're aging. You've got to get younger. You have to realistically take a look at the quarterback position in this draft. Okay, so maybe there's not a quarterback that people love in this draft. I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that. I think there's enough quarterback talent in this draft to go get your guy, right? I mean, did we ever think there would be, how many, what was there, 6 quarterbacks in the first 12 picks last year? We didn't think we'd see that. But you're seeing some rookie quarterbacks play at a pretty high level. There's going to be a quarterback that's available. That you have to change the narrative of that position. Derek Carr ain't it. He ain't never been it. All right? But he certainly hadn't been it since he lost his job for the Las Vegas Raiders and you signed him to a big deal. You got to get that position right. All right? That's where you got to start. But also there's some places on your roster you got to fill in some gaps. You got to make some tough decisions. There are guys that have been loyal as hell to the city and to the franchise that you're going to have to make tough decisions on. But that's what the NFL is. It is. It's a business. And when things change, rosters change. Hell, I've been a team captain one year, released the next. That's the way the NFL works, right? Relationships are hard in the NFL because of that. And you got to make those tough decisions. But this right now, I'm going to give you some credit because I didn't think you'd have the you-know-what to do it. Did y'all?
No, so I didn't either. And like you said, it's a step in the right direction, but it doesn't make me feel any better about where this team is at. I have been on the fire Dennis Allen train since last season.
Yeah.
And I've been on the get rid of Derek Carr train, both of them since last season. So this is, like you said, a step in the right direction, but honestly, I think until Mickey Loomis is out of there, not a lot is going to change with this organization. He has done a horrific job managing the front office and just everything about this team that, yes, I am surprised that they actually did something about Dennis Allen because it didn't look like they were going to. And this is something that should have been done a long time ago. So it's not, I'm glad that he's gone, but it's also just not making me feel any better about the organization or the team.
Well, Jake, to your point, when you were reading the Schefter tweet about, like, you know, Marshawn Lattimore is a guy that a lot of teams are calling. Never thought I would say this. It's probably better for you to trade Marshawn Lattimore at this point. You're not winning with him. You drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry. You still have Paulson Adebo. You still have Alante Taylor. Get something back for him. If nothing else, try to get draft picks because now it's very evident that you are in a complete rebuild. Yeah. You're not going to be able to offload Derek Carr because of the big contract. Who is the most valuable player? Alvin Kamara just signed a 2-year extension. You're not moving on from him. Cam and Demario Davis are older. Like Marshawn Lattimore fits that to a T of a player that, hey, he's valuable for you. You're not really winning with him. You can get a ton back for him. I mean, I honestly think that's the next move they need to make.
A lot going on, obviously, inside the Bayou Ford chat. Our guy Fon says, why waste a pick this year on a quarterback when you're already paying Carr and Rattler? Draft O-line, D-line, receiver this year. It's because Derek Carr is not the answer. And It was a bad signing when you made it. It's bad now. It's bad then. It's always going to be bad. And so you're going to have to take a hit on the chin there. I like Spencer Rattler. I do. He's a 5th-round pick. Every NFL team had 4 rounds to select him, and they didn't make the move. Jay Kaner's a 4th-round pick. Same situation. I think there's skills there, certainly, that can make Rattler intriguing. But you have a chance to maybe take a top 5 quarterback. And I like this quarterback class better than it sounds like most do. I think there's quarterbacks in this draft that can go be a franchise quarterback. Now, there's always a chance to miss. I'd rather miss on a quarterback than a defensive lineman from UTEP or a defensive lineman from NC State, right? Or a defensive lineman, because it seems like that's what they always, from Wazoo. I'd rather miss on Shadir Sanders or Cam Ward or Quinn Ewers or whoever that might be, whoever it might be. So it's different now. You made a move. You made the move that had to happen for everything to get going. What do you do now? Where do you go from here? And like Tay said, it's going to be highly intriguing on who they make the interim head coach and what it looks like moving forward and who you could potentially bring in. Bill Belichick? Can we go ahead and start that? Let's just go ahead and start that. Make that like a whole 2-month process.
Hear me out. Hear me out. I know he's like somewhat blacklisted. John Gruden loves football so much. He loves football so much. I know that's not like the best option, but
Depending on what you do on the offensive side of the things in the offseason, there's a name out there that I've been keeping an eye on for a while because I think he's a great coach and I don't know why he's not a head coach. Mike Vrabel would be one of my first calls if I'm the New Orleans Saints. I thought he did an excellent job in Tennessee. They're worse now than they were when they got rid of him. You know he's going to have the defensive side of the ball locked down. And I get a lot of people like, well, you just hired a defensive coach in Dennis Allen. You don't want to hire another one. Those two guys are not the same.
no, they're not the same.
I mean, Mike Vrabel's a very good football coach.
I'm pretty sure he has a winning record.
Yes.
As a head coach in the NFL, and not one that's in the top 10% of worst in NFL history when you hired him.
See, I think that's probably one of the things that you should look at when hiring a head coach. Like,
Probably.
hey, do they have an existing winning record?
Yeah. And if times are bad, do they have something where we can at least fall back on to have hope that it's going to get better?
Right.
And not one of the worst records in head coaching history.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.